I think one of the biggest things that we see is, with data breaches, experience is critical. And so we find that there's lots of different ranges. There's a wide range of the type of clients you have. You have some that have privacy officers that are credentialed. They have some experience in doing incident response to people that really have no experience. And so one of the aspects that we find is just education. Is when we meet with clients, because we live this world. I mean, this is the industry we're in. Sometimes we forget that not everybody else has the same level of knowledge as we do. And some of the most basic of truths out there, like there are state, data breach notification laws, can escape some people out there. And so what we find is you always want to start kind of at the beginning and then take them through. And very rarely do we ever find that people don't want the education components. It's a really important aspect of it. And then the other aspect that we find is just the lessons learned, the war stories, here are some of the things we've come across that have been, really helpful. I mean, there's one we always joke about is, early on we had done an incident where we had left the client had used letterhead where the phone number was on the letterhead. And so even though the letter had, in the letter, it gave you a call center number and all those types of things, people started calling the actual client's number that was on the letterhead. Those are little details that come out when you put a plan together, and those war stories really go a long way with giving your client comfort that the process is working. One of the best ways to test a plan is to do it. In the business continuity world, they call it a tabletop exercise. It's basically like a mock breach, and we did one internally. It was kind of a fun process, and what they'll do is they'll take a scenario, and one of the things about your incident response plan is there's so many different ways that a breach can occur that even just a one-time test probably isn't enough. You almost want to test multiple scenarios. You might want to test something that involves credit cards or something that involves healthcare, depending on the type of organization you are. And so tabletop exercises are kind of a standard process in the BC world, but they're really effective. And the key and probably the biggest challenge in a tabletop exercise is getting the right people in the room. I mean, if you can think about the way the companies are now, you very rarely have all of the people even in the same building. I mean, you mentioned you've got 3 different offices, and so it's a challenge. But I think tabletops are probably one of the best ways you can test them. Having a roles and responsibilities document is critical. It's now a C-level issue, and there's concern because maybe the C-level executives weren't involved in the incident response planning process. But when your hair is on fire, and there's a big public relations issues, whether you want your CEO to be the person talking about the incident, they're the ones that the media are going to contact. And so understanding the who as part of the process is just as important. So I think educating within the company, hey, we have an incident, here's how we're going to manage communication is critical, and so that those roles and responsibilities, because if you're the privacy officer trying to go toe-to-toe with the CEO because you have a plan in place and they're breaking protocol, that's a tough place to be, and so you want to try to address those ahead of time, and so I think that's another aspect that's really important as well.